City.
Actually, that's spot on.
It is spot on.
All the competition that try to compete.
Everything is spot on.
The Dallas Cowboys have gone through a bit of a COVID scare. They will be getting Amari Cooper back, but some coaches, especially our head coach and Terrence Steele, will be out for the game on Thursday against the New Orleans Saints that will be featuring Taysom Hill as a starting quarterback. What is you guys' preview and predictions for tomorrow's game against the New Orleans Saints?
Yeah, I don't know about a COVID scare, more like a COVID takeover. The Cowboys have been the team in the NFL who's been hit with COVID, more COVID cases than any other team in the National Football League. And that's a scary, scary proposition when you look at it, because I said this about a week or so ago on my show that I do here in Dallas. We're in the holiday season. We just got past Thanksgiving. And a lot of these players, as a former player, all the family came to my house when they came from out of town. So all of these guys are having family members come in for Thanksgiving. They're having families coming in for Christmas. And no one's checking to see who had COVID, who got vaxxed, who's not vaxxed, making you wear masks in the house. And you guys are just hanging around each other, fellowshipping. All of us athletes and former athletes, we all have charities. We all go do appearances. And when I watch these guys post this stuff on social media, none of them have masks on. So you're around more people, you're socializing, and then you're bringing it back into the locker room. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see for this Cowboys team in particular, who's going to be able to fight off COVID the longest. And I pray, because we are inching closer and closer to the playoff. Last thing that we need is for our starting quarterback to be on the COVID list and missed, a playoff game or a vital game at the end of the season that we may need for seeding, or whoever else it might be. It might be Micah at one point in time. So that's the biggest thing for me right now. But as far as the game wise, the Cowboys have to come out and get back to their winning ways. And the one thing that I do know about playing in New Orleans at night, when you're a Cowboy, it's going to be loud. It's going to be really, really, really loud. And if the Cowboys don't come out and start fast, and they haven't started fast in the last couple of weeks, if they don't come out and start fast and that crowd gets behind those Saints, then some magical voodoo stuff can happen in New Orleans. So I think they got to start fast. I think they have to be, they're getting a lot of pieces back. This is the first time they'll have all their receivers together and linemen together since like week 1 or something like that. So it's been a while. Dak has to get back to the winning ways, start fast, be efficient, be on target, and really go down there and put a whooping on New Orleans.
Yeah, that whole COVID situation it's an unfortunate thing, because you look at Dallas having to fight that, plus fight the injuries that they've been enduring this season. As far as the matchup with the Saints go, this has to be a game that they win in the trenches, right? You got to defensively, their defensive line has to bring pressure to help create turnovers. But on the offensive side of the ball, Dallas has to find ways to score. You get your wide receiver quarterback, and that has to be better, of course, but the wide receivers can't afford to drop passes. Your running game has to get going, and you have to find a way to balance the ball. But again, when you drive down the field, you can't just settle for field goals. It's going to have to be a game where Dallas can't turn over the ball offensively, and they have to put points on the board. Even though New Orleans is dealing with the unfortunate injuries and things that they're dealing with, that's still not a defense that I would take lightly and just say, hey, this is an easy win for Dallas. It's not going to be that.
With all the things that have happened this season with the Dallas Cowboys, the ups and downs of this season, and coming out of the Thanksgiving holiday, I think this is one of those games where you got to get your momentum going. You got to get that momentum going for the playoffs. You think you're a Super Bowl team, and you have all this talent, and we understand there's injuries. We understand all these things that happen, but there's still expectations. And yes, your coaches are going to be there. Yes, you're going to be missing a couple guys, but you got your receiving court back. You supposedly have a Zeke that's going to have a full workload, even though he was hurt. but he's going to have to come through. Dak Prescott might have been a little off last game, but he has his receiving corpse. This is a game where regardless of the problems you may have, you just got to go out there and win it after the downward slide from the last couple of weeks just to get your momentum going. So it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out because I believe this game could have long-term effects on the results of this season. So with the last slide of this season going out with the Raiders and the Kansas City and the Cowboys falling, do we think the Cowboys are still contenders for a late playoff run?
Contenders, yes. The biggest thing is when you look at the Cowboys this season, the team that they beat aren't really contenders, and so to speak. I said this a lot this season. Like, we knew what we were going to do in the division. We knew that this division was going to be an easy division for the Cowboys to win this year. It was all pointing towards playoffs. It's been pointing towards playoffs since week 1. It really has. And because you knew that the Giants weren't going to be much, you knew Washington didn't have a quarterback, and you know Philly, none of them really have quarterbacks, and they don't really have good teams. So you already knew what those teams were going to be. You were going to be able to dominate those games. The thing is that I don't know if this Cowboys team is ready to take the next step and go beat some of the big boys, to go beat Tom Brady, to go beat Aaron Rodgers, to go and beat teams like that on the road. Because at this point, you're probably not going to get number 1 seed, so you're probably going to have to go on the road to win one of these games. And so going to Green Bay or going to Tampa and to face the big dogs, I don't know if they're ready to take on that challenge and win. I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. But history has said that they haven't been ready to do so. And this recent slide kind of almost puts that back in the forefront of, who is this team? Do they have the mental makeup? Do they have the physical makeup to go out there and compete against the big dogs? And I don't know how and will, but they got to figure out a way to get more discipline, because you can't go, and I know people are saying, oh, the refs cheated. This team has been undisciplined all year long. They have been the most penalized team all year long. And when you get in the playoffs, you can't give Aaron Rodgers another set of downs. You can't find yourself behind the sticks. You can't do all those things from senseless holdings or jumping off sides or pass interference or whatever it might be. So the Cowboys, yes, can still be a contender, but the jury's still out if they're ready to go and take the big boys and really make a deep playoff run. I'm talking NFC Championship, Super Bowl.
I definitely think this team is still a contender, depending on how healthy they can be down the stretch. And again, as Jesse spoke to, the mental mistakes that they do make. And that even goes back to the Saints thing. They have to limit the amount of penalties they get in this game. And then going down the stretch in the rest of the season, that's something that definitely has to be corrected. If they want a playoff win, let alone more than one playoff win, you can't afford to have those type of mental mistakes. And so I think they're definitely a contender, but again, health and their mentality going into these matchups is a big factor in that.
And I think one last point we could make is one of the things we heard a lot about this team was that they were almost like a family. And after we've heard all these injuries, it seems like it's been pulled apart. We haven't seen the family together in so long. One of the keys to a long playoff run and possibly a Super Bowl contention for the Cowboys is these guys come back. We always look at these little jolts of momentum when you maybe make a trade at the deadline and you get your guy on the line or whatever it may be. We have a lot of guys that are coming off an injury that could be that jolt for this team. We just have to hope they all gel back together because they obviously were together at the beginning of the season. We just got to hope when they come back, everybody can get that momentum going, and we may be playing some easier teams, but have that mojo going so when we have to play an Aaron Rodgers, a Tom Brady of the world, we're ready, which we were ready at the beginning of the season. Before we knew anything, we played a close game against Tampa Bay. We just got to hope, the coin flips to our side because sometimes it comes down to that in these playoff games, but they have to first be ready to even get us to that point. So y'all tell us what y'all think are the Dallas Cowboys contenders in the NFL after this recent slide against a couple games. We'll see y'all next time. SOS Discussions.
We thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode. Be sure to check out more shows here on this YouTube page, such as SOS Discussions or My Point Exactly. And most of all,
keep watching Spot On Sports.
it's a new wave of sports that's sweeping the nation. We're not just accurate, it's spot on.